The Immaterial Games Podcast with these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a funny joke. This is the Immaterial Gamers Podcast. Have I really just done that?
Apparently you have. I can't believe
Yeah,
you would
just
make such a horrible racist joke and then just pretend like it was nothing.
I know.
It's a good thing we cut it out. I mean, God, we would. I know we don't have much of an audience, but we would never make it with language
if we
like that.
did have that obvious sexism, it would have been,
Oh yeah, the
This would've
sexist
been-
thing too. Racist
Yeah.
and sexist.
I know, and then to think Dariusz went and sat there again, the anti-establishment joke as well. It was just,
I actually thought that was kind of funny, to be perfectly honest.
that's true. But yeah, here we are, episode 79, and unfortunately, I cannot see our producer's comments because one, I don't have my phone on me, and two, I'm not there. I'm at the podcasting couch. But is he saying
calling you
anything
an evil
that's
fuck.
actually
Oh,
repeatable?
he's saying very nice things about you. He's generally just calling you a very nice,
You named
intelligent, handsome young man who's just hardworking, and it's just the
No.
real MVP of this whole operation.
I don't believe it, but
I'm happy
I'll-
to hear not evil fuck.
mm, okay. No, that's fair enough. It's fair enough. So we will move into this. This is episode 79.
We're
That's
getting close to 100.
Yeah.
Almost.
21 off. Or 22 off, including this one.
And then another
But,
4 on top of
what's-
that, and we'll be into year 3 of this, whatever this is.
This stubborn self-gratification project that we've got at the moment.
Mm.
But I'm Ryan, and this week we are monster collecting games. So this week I am Pokemon, the progenitor of all this stuff. I'm not really the progenitor.
I'm
but-
Temtem.
Yeah, that's Duncan.
I'm barely functional, but I'm here anyway, for better or worse.
Oh, you're functional considering the smallness of the team that made it.
Indeed, I am a small man.
There we
Can
go.
I
And
be
then we've got-
Digimon?
Yeah, go for it, Dariusz. You're Digimon.
Yeah.
The
S&T.
it was I guess unless you want to be Yokai Watch.
You were Dariusz is
Yeah.
Digimon. He's the weird knockoff that everyone thinks was like a copycat, but like wasn't really.
Yeah, because
It came out about the same time.
it came out at the same time, sort of a different sort of idea.
Digimon. Did
It
you
had
call it this?
like an orange dinosaur in it. That's what everyone remembers.
Oh.
Was
I
that
still
flying big-eared one?
I still have the Angel Mon at Mum and Dad's. It's on top
Oh,
of
yeah.
the freaking cabinet.
Oh yes, I still remember the.
That's the cat one.
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember the PlayStation game with Digimon. It was like, oh, you logged into a server, and it was like and enough. It was like you were in an MMO, and then it had a Sword Art Online style thing where everyone was then stuck in the server until they saved the world, both worlds. But
Oh, Sword Art
at
Online.
least it wasn't if they died in that they died forever. They just couldn't get out of the game.
SAO.
SAO, and then D is Yokai Watch, which
I don't know what Yokai Watch is,
Nor do I, that's why I was going to go for S&T. Or Persona.
so nobody knows what it is, including itself. That's D in a bottle.
Oh no, it was a game that was released by Nintendo that was supposed to be like, a kid who like was able to then see spirits in the world and then could use them for his own benefit and stop people who also use the spirits for nefarious ends and shit like that. Spirits.
Okay,
Known
that
as
sounds
yokai.
that sounds an awful lot like Shaman King, but
Yeah. But
They
anime
never
really
finished
likes
Shaman
just
King,
taking
did they?
strips out of itself.
They never finished Shaman King, did they? Or they did. They paused it after. It seems to have paused it and then it never really restarted.
I wouldn't know. I'm a dumb non-weeb. Please help me. What was Shaman King?
It was a guy who looked a bit like Yugimoto. He could control a spirit that sounded like Yugimoto, and he did like fights and stuff with it. At some point, there was another guy who looked exactly like him, kind of like in Full Metal Alchemist. I don't really remember anything about that show.
Basically, the Shaman King is a tournament held by spirits. With spirits and stuff.
Right, yeah, there was like a whole competition to like become the Shaman King or whatever.
Yeah. that happens every like 200 years or something daft.
Oh, of course, and then it just naturally fit. The 200 years just happened to align with
the events of the
Various
story.
plot points.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If the Shaman King tournament was taking place like 72 years from now, like, what's the point of the story?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Okay. The only thing I really remember about Shaman King is that the English dub had a really badass opening theme.
I'm sorry, I just read the comments on our Discord channel.
He's still having a stroke.
I
From
don't
Adriana.
think so, but well,
Get the feeling he might have lost it.
There's a bit of a
Andrew's
plot
cartoon.
being lost right now.
Ah,
Oh, okay. There's way too many villagers.
The producer's having a bit of a struggle.
Yeah,
I see.
with villagers. They're slowly taking over the server.
Oh, jeez, that sounds like what he was doing a couple of days ago. So you know what? We will leave producer Stefan and his Shin Megami Tensei style villager farm, and we will move on to what's been played.
What's being played?
da da da.
Let's do
Yeah.
the play.
Yeah, of the what's been variety. And D, you're up.
Well, I've been playing more time at Porsche or Temtem.
You know what? We've not talked about Temtem. Well, you've not talked about Temtem.
Yeah, well, I seem to have jumped a little bit ahead. Just
It
a
sounds
smidge.
like you've played the most, so you may as well take the reins.
Yeah.
Basically, with Temtem, I've beat the first. Well, I've done the first, like, I keep referring it to Pokemon, but I've basically found the evil corporation.
You're not the only one who's referring to it as Pokemon. Should we
Oh.
explain what Temtem is briefly?
Yes,
Oh,
I have
sometimes
no
it's-
idea what it is, and I've seen you guys playing. However, I was not paying attention.
It's
to
basically a capture things with like it's a lot like Pokemon where you got to capture things.
Yeah, Pokemon is the most obvious comparison.
So yeah, it's
You
like the easiest comparison to it. Then
You live
but
in a
yeah,
world where there's a bunch of cute monsters, you capture them in little magic card things, and then you use them to battle and level up. The only real main difference between it and a typical Pokemon game is that it's an MMO built up from the ground, rather than just the MMO that people wish Nintendo made, and they just don't.
Pretty much, yeah.
But basically, yeah, it's an MMO. I've met the first evil rival thing, and I've done the first gym kind of deal.
Ah, yes, I believe they call it the dojo in this, but
Yeah,
Dojo, not gym.
yeah. Basically, I've completed the first gym, dojo or whatever.
Dojo.
And I got a surfboard, so I can now surf. So I can go in the water and explore the water areas.
So
just,
wait,
just
you
as
can
a clue,
you
if
can
you haven't picked up
surf.
that pendant, that's where you go.
You can capture Pokemon, and you can surf, and there's dojos. Oh my god.
Yeah,
These people aren't gonna last the year. Fucking Nintendo's gonna destroy them.
Nah,
Next
they're
year-
fine.
Well, there's also going to be rock climbing at some point. There's rock climbing points, and then I went into a lava pit, like glacial area, and we're going to get some ice skates soon.
Delicious.
Okay, so they are using different forms of travel that aren't just, the surfboard.
But the sliding, it's basically a sliding puzzle at the moment. But if you get the ice skates,
Wonderful.
if you get the ice skates, then you don't have to try and go dink 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 dink, bounce off fucking walls to get to the end.
I get you.
Basically, it turns out it's crystalline. It's what the digi card things are made out of, by the sounds of it.
Mm. Yeah, there are good old Tem cards, which are not to be confused with Pokeballs.
Even though
So are you throwing the cards instead of Pokeballs?
Yep.
Yes, basically.
Yeah,
It's like if
and then the-
it's like if card captors collided with Pokemon, you know. It's
Yeah.
like you get that
Yeah.
you got that card summoning element, but then it's all like digital and stuff like the Pokeball.
Yeah, there's 13 element types and stuff like that.
Yeah. Some shared with like the basic types of Temtem or with like Pokemon. Some aren't. They have their own different bits.
And if you want to catch water Pokemon, go in the water. If you want to go to each area's got its own area of expertise, shall we say? Like the first area is wind, then you get water Pokemon, and now I'm finding I've got a random electric that seems to kick everything's ass.
No, careful, they're not Pokemon, they're Temtem.
The Temtem, but yeah.
Oh yeah. If
Ryan and I
you watch the play session video.
we did a little play session the other day in Temtem, and we probably said Pokemon instead of Temtem, both of us. We must have done it at least 20 times between the two of us in a 40-minute video.
It's not it's called Temtem, but it's basically It is effectively Pokemon almost.
Well, yeah, that's why they're very specific in what they're saying. And at the end of the day, Nintendo don't have the monopoly on monster catching MMOs. In fact, they don't have the right to a monster catching MMO. Sure, they got a monster catching game, but
At least the monsters are a bit. The monsters don't look like any Pokemon now.
no, they're all right.
Well, some of them do, some of them don't.
Yeah.
No one owns the right of making the games based on something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were talking about
The
this
rights.
before. It's like
The rights. If the rights are towards the name, like let's say Pokemon, so obviously they cannot use it in their game, and they cannot have the same design of the characters, monsters. But other than that, I think it's
like copyright only protects against specific instances and specific
Exactly.
iterations of, intellectual property. Like, it's like I said, names, images, lists, terms, things like that. Sounds.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But,
you fight.
yeah.
But yeah, now I've got my surfboard, I can. I've gone exploring the rest of this our first map, and then the second one. You go on a hot air balloon.
I actually want to come back to that copyright thing when we've done the Let's Been Play thing, because I don't know if Ryan had anything planned, but I had a thing I wanted to talk about at the end.
Oh, don't worry about it. If it's what you put in the news thing, I am happy for you to talk about that.
All right, we'll
'Cause
we'll
that's what
dip
we're
back
going
into
for.
that.
Oh, they evolve when you hit a certain level.
Mm.
And it's kind of an obvious kind of transformation as well. It goes from like a ferret to a bigger ferret.
Well, that's cool. Like a bird to a bigger bird. Yeah.
Bird, bigger bird.
A lot of the Temtems are based vaguely off animals, most of them.
Mm. Well-
You can see that they added animal to the thingy.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm wrong.
It seems like a lot. They went for like a really cutesy style for the most part. Like most of the Temtems seem to have more of a sort of that kawaii attribute to it, as opposed to like Pokemon. Sometimes you get them and they look like monstrosities.
To be honest, there is way too many Pokemon.
Yeah.
which is sort of something that's nice about Temtem at the moment, because it's in an early access phase. They currently have 80. That's a lot less to think about than the 700 odd that are in there. But it's like we say, it's early access, so
over time it might grow.
improve.
Yeah, there are more Temtems, more add-ons, and maybe less bugs. I would say it's like mostly good. I mean, it's certainly functional. The only reason we even played the play session of it was because Runeterra wouldn't let us play together, which is kind of embarrassing for Riot. I mean, it's a $1 billion game company. They can't have a game ready for launch.
I did some Runeterra. Thought a lot about that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Probably we'll talk a bit more about Runeterra when it's more functional for that.
Yeah.
Like I say,
I actually
we'd like to do play session, but
this morning I actually did play a little bit matchmaking. They finally got that working. Jury's still out on whether or not the friend challenging works, but we can experiment with that in the coming week.
yeah.
So yeah, I think I've covered Temtem.
That sounds about
Fair
solid.
dues.
Yeah, looking
But
forward to seeing how that develops.
I'm wrong about the.
forward to playing that more.
Yeah.
According to stuff, I'm wrong about the levels. They just level up at some point.
Yeah, apparently Temtem level up after a certain number of levels after you get them. It's not like fixed points like in Pokemon. Which is okay. It's different.
But that's the other thing to come back onto as well. That they have, that like Pokemon, they always had the hidden values for their stats, the SVs. You could just keep capturing them, and once you found the highest ones, that all worked. What I do like about Temtem is that's not hidden information. In fact, with Temtem entirely, there isn't any hidden information.
Well,
You see everything about everyone, even coming down to the stamina of other Temtems.
The only
So
thing
that's
that's
part of a
kind of-
strategy in it.
the only thing that's kind of hidden until you capture one is their abilities and their
trait.
passives.
Yeah, that's that's.
But yeah, like the water Pokemon the one I've seemed to enjoy is the Aquafinity trait. It gives you 15% extra damage with water-based moves. They seem to have one of those based, and then there's like one of them's got caffeinated, means it doesn't go sleep. So if you have a caffeinated Pokemon, they don't go sleep. So you got to think about what 6 you're using.
Yeah, because it's not just about type; it's about synergy, which is sort of a lot more tactical in that sort of sense.
And I'm not sure, I haven't played it as a duel yet, so I don't know how... You're meant to complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in you bringing, say, the squid thing, the thingy thing, and both of us are the squid thing and thingy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except for there's a move that I found so far that does a lot of damage, but it also affects allies as well.
That's why you want a... I was going to say Pokemon. Fuck. That's why you want a Temtem with friendship that doesn't take damage from allies' moves.
But yeah, it's
Okay.
what does it have? It's chain lightning. It affects everyone, including the Temtem itself.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. As I say, if you have a
what I
Temtem
found
with friendship,
useful-
it won't get hurt.
No, there's one of these like electric horse things. It's got supercharge, so when it hits itself with its own lightning, it heals itself. God damn
Strategy.
Yep.
It electrocutes everyone, but it heals it freaking self in the process.
Classic.
It's like, oh, I've just took 10 damage, but I've just healed myself for 14. Yay.
Clever girl,
Do
man.
you guys think that over time, Temtem can be as popular as Pokemon?
Over time, okay. When we say
That's
over
a
time,
loaded question.
we need to qualify that with how much time we're talking about here, because Pokemon has had like 30 years to get as popular as it is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it is the most popular thing, like literally ever. So
Well, it might be. I will say it might be hard to dethrone Pokemons, but at least make the Temtem competitive with the Pokemons.
I'd
Here's
say
what I would say for... Well, go ahead, Duncan.
I'd say that if they continue to update the game on a regular basis, fix its glitches, stay proactive in its
Definitely.
development and marketing, I think that there's
Don't
always a
pull a-
chance.
Yeah, and
It
don't
is-
pull a thing in my bot.
It is similar enough to Pokemon.
Anthem.
It's got more content than Anthem already.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got Anthem B. It's similar enough to Pokemon that it can take a slice of its audience from it. But it's also got just enough differentiation that people who want,
Something
people who are
different.
looking for something a little bit different will have something for them in Temtem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me personally, I would have gone on the idea is it's got a particular market cornered, and that's the PC market.
Yeah.
To say that it would beat Pokemon
but-
overall when Pokemon doesn't want to go anywhere near the PC,
Yeah.
it's a
So-
of a thing there.
At least they trying to plug that hole in the PC market for Pokemon.
Basically,
At the moment, maybe over time, after the expansion, after 2-3 years of development, they might expand to other consoles then.
possibly.
But by the sounds of it, it's a small company.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you're always
it's-
starting somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
You building up.
Indeed.
And it was Humble Bundle had something to
Yeah,
do
it's
with
got
it.
Humble on its back. It's got it's got Humble's backing. It's published by Humble, hence why it's that sort of thing. But you
'Cause
know,
I bought it
it's-
off Humble for like 20% extra because of the discount thing.
Yeah,
Because
due
Humble
to-
now has that 10 games a
Yes.
month thing that you got to choose.
yeah, it has choice rather than Humble monthly. But yeah, so you'll find it on there. But I'd say we've talked a lot about Temtem there. So if
What
we go
has someone else played?
with Darius.
What have you been playing, Darius?
Hello, guys.
Oh hi Darius, how's it going?
I'm fine. Well, I've been playing for the past week since last time I was speaking to you guys. Well, nothing to an extent was like hour here, hour there. Mainly, I transferred my account from from the Blizzard for Battle.net to Steam of the Destiny.
Oh yeah,
So I've been playing a little bit of Destiny 2.
fair enough. Have you been playing just the old content then, or did you go with Shadowkeep?
No, I have not bought the new extension for it because it's 30 quid, and that's a little bit too much for a little bit of extra content.
Yeah. The Destiny
Yeah.
thing is, here's a game, but now you've got to pay an extra. You want a new map? Here's 30 quid, please.
Yeah, unfortunately,
It's also- it's-
the whole Bungie splitting from Activision thing hasn't done well with them. With Shadowkeep being about 4 missions long.
Well, that's the thing. If I would knew, for example, 2 years ago that the game would be free to play and you can buy the whole game with all the expansions for like 30-40 quid at the moment. I might wait. I might have wait.
Yeah, but
So-
that's just how games work. It's like you could always buy it up front for the high price, or you could wait. It's always gonna go down. I mean, games don't just stay there.
Yeah, well, I wasn't
price.
expecting the game would be free to play at any time. To be honest, that's kind of like a downside for me. However, I've played it few hours already. Since I transferred the account from the last week. I love the mechanic. I love how guns work. It's just lovely to press the button and see every shot just kill someone. It's just working perfectly. And I'm definitely not buying the new content at the moment because your light score, was it?
Yeah.
Light score 8 went up. So before I build up myself to that kind of level where I can go to the new map, I'm definitely not buying it. And besides, I had like a few months of a rest in the game. So I will be like, I will just enjoy the game one more time. Probably I will redo the story with a new character. And maybe then I will buy the new expansion. Because the game is still enjoyable, even though it's have like, 2 years in now?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 2-year-old, and I still do enjoy to take my bow and put some arrows in the head of cabals.
It's always nice to just,
Just
wake
pop a
up,
cabal.
have a shower, have breakfast, shoot a cabal in the head, dinner.
Yeah, exactly. It's.
Maybe kill.
Death, lunch.
Yep.
I think what they done is, since the Destiny 1, they had a core mechanics there. I mean, the game work, how shooting works, how that kind of fun fact, fun factor of playing the shooter. It was always there, and that's what making the game still enjoyable after God knows how many years and months of break. Especially a break, even have like few months break like me, and going back to it feels so nice.
I don't know. I haven't. I've merged my account, but I haven't downloaded it again.
I played Shadowkeep and then got, the usual. It's like, it's not. We've said this plenty of times. It's not a bad game, but there's just not much there.
Yes.
But that being said, there's more there than there is Anthem. Okay, that's 2 games we've mentioned Anthem and slagged it off.
It's exactly. It's a really nice game. It does have enough content to like play the story, play a dozen of hours online. But after a certain time, you're just hitting that point where it's too much grinding for not a lot of rewards.
Yeah, it's like I got to the point where my gear, I needed like 5 gear scores or something like that, but I needed to do the forge. It's like, do I really want to do the forge?
And usually you end up getting to it, and the answer's usually a lot of the time, no.
Really?
Yeah, because the time you need to spend on it to get something slightly better, it doesn't seem feasible.
Yeah, I mean, that's indicative of any MMO, though. I mean, you go to something like, you could go to something like World of Warcraft or any of the big sort of your standard MMOs, your pointy clicky ones.
Yeah, it's like you go to it's like in WoW, and you do the raid, you're like, oh, you got the soft cap for this raid, now you can do it on normal, and now you can do it on hard, and now you can do it on veteran. It's like,
yeah, but a lot of the time, it's like I remember the middle expansions of that game, and it wasn't the fact of, a lot of the time it wasn't you could get this item outright, it was like you had to repeat this dungeon over and over again and get a currency that allowed you to do it, but then there was a cap on the amount of currency that you could get, and it was like, do we really want to be replaying? I mean, there's only so many times you'd want to kill the Lich King. To be honest, for a lot of people, there would only be so many times that they'd have the chance.
Yeah, so the game is great for, like, let's say, play it for a month and then have a 6 months break and then come back to it. That feels good. However, if we're talking like on the continuous play sessions,
really quickly.
Still, I'm getting puzzled how me and Steph on the first Destiny on the PlayStation 4, how we put 200 hours plus on that game puzzles me.
Well,
because It was
Does
a
it fall
good
into
game,
the Minecraft black hole?
especially after all the updates. It was getting better and better, but still, it was a grind, for God's sake.
But no, it's like Minecraft. You can play Minecraft for days and not really like, what have you done? It's like, well, I've built this. Good for you.
That has its own sort of thing though, but that also has its own different core loop. It's not about completing the game and leveling up and stuff like that. To be honest, the goals of Minecraft are open-ended based on what people want to do. For the creative, they get to build giant structures or penises. For the adventurers, they get to try and, craft and do what they need to do to get to the end and, beat the Ender Dragon and all that shit. The goal is flexible for each sort of person, but then Microsoft have managed to branch out on that and use Minecraft as a franchise for other stuff. I mean, they've got that Minecraft Dungeons coming out at a point. There's a Minecraft board game, Builders and Biomes.
Yeah.
That people can sort of play. It's sort of turning it into the brand and granting people the ability to do what they want for goals. I mean, the only thing they haven't really properly done, well, I mean, I guess they did get that weird sponsorship with Lego at one point, which, I mean, at the end of the day, Minecraft is digital Lego.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And
know,
there is, if I can go back to Destiny, Stefan just made a good point of it. For the first Destiny, we played PvP only once or twice, where we really had to do something with it, because it wasn't enjoyable at all for the first Destiny. With Destiny 2, when it got a PC release, the controls were slightly better, and we got basically a team. It was something different, but then still we have not done too much PvP. We were more like playing the Gambit mode.
Yeah, Gambit was probably the best hybrid of that.
I'd like Gambit actually.
Yeah, because I think that's the issue with the Destiny. I think most of us will consider ourselves kind of like serious gamers, however, not to the point of too serious about one game. So playing PvP.
We're also mostly PvE.
Yes, exactly.
More PvEers than PvPers for the best part.
That's my kind of point. We're more enjoying PvE. Why? Well, because PvP in this game is freaking ridiculous. You've got the people who spend like hundreds of hours playing it, and it's not a secret that when you're playing the more time on PvP, you're getting better rewards than playing PvE. You are getting a better gear playing PvP than PvE.
It's also the fact that
it was hard to get into it because you spawn, you're getting shot, you respawn. That wasn't fun for me in it.
Yeah,
no.
I mean,
it's also like
game lately. Sorry, go on.
It's also like the Shosh. There was a particular gun that basically one shot you.
That's the same with everything, though. That's the same with every competitive thing. It's find the thing that wins and use it. I don't blame people for using the quote-unquote broken guns and stuff like that.
No, you
get their thing.
Yes, you're exploiting the issues of the game. Well, issues. You're exploiting. Yeah, exactly. You're finding always the best solution for your game style, and if there is a one weapon which suits everyone and everyone starts using it, that's fair enough. That's fair play because everyone can use it.
It's just, I guess at that point it's not fun for the people who hadn't managed to get it yet.
Yes.
But, it's nice to see that you've had some Destiny 2 happies.
Come back.
Yeah, so, we'll move it on. Duncan.
Me. Alright, so what have I played this week? Well, I played a few things actually. I mean, I was really not into games for a long time, and then, this last little while, I decided to make myself play a couple of new things. One of those new things was Temtem, which we've covered.
Yep.
Another one was Runeterra, which I'm enjoying so far, though I don't really have enough to really report, because I've only played the tutorials and like 3 match-made games.
Like when I tried it last week, it's one of those, it's got the core down, it just wants got a bit more stuff. I mean, we've got to take into account it's early access, again.
I've got like half of Noxia done.
The progress things.
I've gone through the things.
You'll get to experience on that, Duncan. So once you've done your tutorials and your prologue, you can choose regions and you can just get experience through them instead.
Yeah.
Hooray!
So you've got the Oxians, the Piltovers. There's 6 of them, I think.
Something like that. But
Pretty odd.
As
yeah.
you were saying.
But yeah, as for I guess I'll talk about one game I played. It's a game you're probably all familiar with, if not by experience, then certainly by name. I joined my mother, my sister, and a bunch of their friends in a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Ah, yes.
D&D.
Yes, good old D&D.
We have a D&D here, and also another D. We're D and D, and Ryan.
Well, I've got
Any
2
D's
Ds
in your
mine.
names, Ryan?
No,
Not a single D. All right,
not a single D.
we're just a triple D plus
Well, quadruple
plus
if
a
you
Ryan.
count. Well, quadruple D if you include my middle and middle name.
All right, you're getting a little carried away. So D&D. It's a game everyone basically knows what it is. I mean, I think a lot of people know what it is, but they don't really necessarily know what it's like to actually be in a game of D&D.
So people that sort of got their concepts. They know like classes, skills, characters.
Yeah, the D&D I played is the Waterdeep one with you. Is it?
Well, yeah. There's the
Waterdeep
board
is
games
like
that spawn
the
from
most-
that.
Yeah. Waterdeep is the main setting of the game. So I rolled a human fighter, which is like the most vanilla-ass generic character that could possibly exist.
Oh, human fighters forever, mate. Yes.
I was the only human character at the party of 8. That does include the DM, by the way. So there was eight actual players.
What's the DM? So 9.
So out of all of them, I was the only human, and I was also the only one who was a race that did not have dark vision, which is basically just lets you can see in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh, torches in your future.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, no, that the DM literally put us immediately in a dark hole where I couldn't see, like within 5 minutes of starting their session.
Yeah, so you're fumbling around constantly.
Yeah, so I'm
Well,
just holding a torch with
people
one
are-
hand and my sword with the other, like, don't come near me, I'll get you. Do I need to explain what D&D is or how it works? I mean, is that
I'd think with this. I mean, more on this. I think it'd be more of a case of seeing what would be in your campaign that you had going, rather than sort of because, like I say, I think people get basics and know what it is. People create characters based off defined classes and
Yeah. It's sort of the
sets that way.
It's sort of the granddaddy of the role-playing game genre as a whole, really.
Yeah.
Before there were tiny computers in your electronic devices that could keep track of all this information, when people just had to write the shit on pieces of paper
And dices.
and
Nice.
yeah, and roll, and
And
they had to bring their own random number generators to the table.
Yeah.
But, it's
Manual
like,
ones.
You just don't have a dice with 1 to 6. No, you have D4, D12.
Yeah, you got the D20
D20.
classic. You got the D10. You got 2 D10s usually for percentage rolls. You've got the D12, which is often used for damage. You've got D8s and D6s, which are also used for damage a lot.
I think there's
You got a
around a
D4
D4 and a
sometimes, which I bought a set of metal dice for playing this game. They're really nice dice.
Good.
I got the purple
D4. The D4 in that set is like razor sharp. Like it's fucking, it's like lethal. The corners are like so pointy.
D4 is basically a small triangle prison thing.
Yeah. I guess so. In our campaign,
Is it a dodecahedron for the 100?
Something like that. So our campaign, right? We had I guess our mission was we had to find some guy. I can't remember his name. He went missing, and his friend sent us on a quest to go find him. We went searching through the sewers, which is where the darkness came in. Couldn't see a damn thing.
As you do.
And there will be sewer mobs and stuff. Okay.
We found some kind of creature in the sewers that doesn't speak English. It just sort of echoes back whatever you say to it.
Oh,
Okay.
wonderful.
So it parakeets.
So we killed that. We had this ongoing problem where one of our players, had the disadvantage of being psychotic,
Oh no.
which
Sounds
created a
fun.
problem because basically anytime there was a person that was like, even remotely problematic, her first solution was to just immediately draw weapons and start attacking. Zero role playing, zero conversations, no persuasion, no intimidation, just like guns blazing. I mean, no guns, obviously. Crossbows blazing, swords singing. It's just like, I kind of wanted. My original idea for my character was I was kind of like, sort of like this sort of young, headstrong knight who was like, it's like, he's young and inexperienced, and he has like a very sort of immature concept of what chivalry is, and that he would just kind of like be a kind of a bit of a braggart, but like kind of shit when he actually has to put it on the line, so to speak. But it's like I never once got to like participate in any of like the role playing because like we're just instantly engaged in combat every time there was an opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So I was like, at this point, I'm considering just like rewriting my backstory. It's just like, you know what? Don't worry about me. I'm just sort of meek dude hanging in the back. I don't want to cause any trouble.
The problem I had in our game is no one fucking trusted me because of the race I was.
Well, that was your own damn fault.
And also, I have a year and a day.
Yeah,
I had a year and I've got a year and a day if we ever pick it back up again to solve before the world ends because someone nicked my book and read it.
Yeah, but well, that's what happens. But you chose the tiefling. You chose the race that specifically outlined no other of the three races.
No, it wasn't a tiefling. That was it was a drow.
Oh, you were drow. Oh, right. So you were second down the list.
Tiefling was
drow.
the general.
Are drow like always evil?
Drow usually at best can probably end up being neutral.
Chaotic neutral. No, the tiefling was Stay with his holy paladin.
Oh yeah, that one was an absolute contradiction.
A tiefling that was holy and demonic at the same time. Mine was a freaking halfling that was very unthingiable.
Yeah, well, let's say I like Duncan went vanilla.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it, Not everyone can be some fancy special race that can see in the dark and can speak 25 fake languages and has innate access to crazy magic. It's like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to be the human fighter guy.
Someone somewhere usually has to be the audience surrogate in a campaign.
I'm just the tank. I have a sword and I hit people with it. I know first aid. That's it. That's my story.
Once I've not played too many D&D games. However, I do remember one which I played, and I had I think a dark elf, and I was a warrior.
Oof.
However, I rolled the stats to be more of a mage. So I had really tough time to be either a tank or to even do some damage. It was really impossible to do any of it. So then I tried to kind of build myself later on in the game to be more like an assassin.
Yeah. So
to be silent, to go on the back and stab.
Yeah, I actually ended up rolling really good stats for my character. I got 18 strength, 16 constitution, 16 dex, 15 intellect, and my worst stat was wisdom at 10, which is just, neutral. No modifier.
10 for a warrior isn't... If you had 10 for a mage class, that's a problem. But a warrior doesn't really...
No.
Warriors don't use it.
It's I might not be very good at perception, but beyond that, I was pretty solid for a warrior. But, so it was interesting. It's just kind of I spent the first half of our session just not really talking or really doing anything because every time I opened my mouth, it's just there was just a sword being stuck in someone else's throat, and it's just all right, I guess we're fighting now.
Well, it depends on the DM and the group.
Yeah,
the DM sets the pace and the tone. Well, the group and the DM, but if you go in a bit too quick or whatever, the DM's meant to set the place. It's down to the dungeon master and how the group's been.
Well, we'd say the DMs usually needs to keep control of the players, but the players then also need to make sure that they can go forward and help the DM. It's an organic process that both or that all players have to do. Yeah,
you have to figure out what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it between you, and you can squabble and whatnot.
Yeah,
you can have a game where you're cooperative, or you can just have a game where you're squabbling constantly.
But
Well, as
You
long
enjoyed
as
it so
everyone
far?
exactly, I was gonna say, as long as everyone is enjoying the session, that's fine. Whether
Yeah, I think at first it was like kind of bothering me. Like, this is gonna be kind of a weird game to play. It's like if all I'm doing is like rolling my initiative and my accuracy rolls, it's just like it's kind of not what I was here for. But we started to pull it back a little bit in the second half, and there was a little bit more, substance to the campaign, and the psychotic person tried to rein in themselves in a little bit. So yeah, I think future sessions will go better. I'd say overall I enjoyed it.
It depends on the size of the party and stuff. Because we've got a party of 8. It's quite a big party.
Yeah. It's a big party. Well, it's 7 plus DM, yeah?
It was 8 plus DM.
Oh, 8 plus DM. Okay, fair enough.
that's a big party.
It was a big party, yeah. We had a
It's
big old
complicated
room.
with like 4 in a DM.
Yeah.
So
Keeping up with 4 people in a DM is hard enough. Because the DM's like, wait, what? And it's hard to keep track of everything.
yeah.
Like, did you roll initiative, or did you roll... Have you rolled your initiative and your combat? Or da-da-da-da-da-da-da?
It's easy enough. As I say, as long as everyone's listening and everyone's involved, that's just steps that should just happen. It's the chaotic points that the DM may provide in the campaign, or the choices that players make which the DM wasn't expecting, that makes things fun.
It's like Tiny Tina did in Dungeons and Dragons for Borderlands 3.
Yeah, but I mean, her story at the end of that was she changed everything around because she wanted everything to be happy because she didn't like the grief
Yeah, but also
that
just
she
like...
was suffering. So,
But yeah, because she dumped a level, 100 boss on the first fucking 3 seconds. There's a boss. Like, you can't do that, Tina. Oh, fine, well, I'll change it.
But, yeah. Right, let's move on very, very quickly for me.
Okay.
I played
Ryan,
more
what
Legends
have you played?
I played more Legends of Runeterra. I got some more progress. I got some more cards. We then tried to play the challenging with Duncan for play session. It didn't work.
Hello?
Other than that, I haven't been doing much. So yeah, that's that one.
I feel like we should play Runeterra. Yeah, it's to see if we can get it
I
to
haven't
work.
played it with everyone else.
Yeah, we should give it another try at some point. Definitely, so we can do what we wanted to do with it. But yeah, producer Stefan's gone.
Yeah,
So
lovely.
it's we're moving on to news time.
News time.
We'll give Duncan the floor for this one.
All right.
Because, he found the news story, and this one is actually something I want to talk about, and you probably want to talk about as well. So, take it away.
Okay, so Blizzard, a company that we all know. Some of us like them, and others have realized that maybe they're not so great anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're making good games that are...
They're making great games and really bad corporate decisions.
Yes. We can all... I think we all can agree on this one.
Yeah, last year was not a good time for them.
Yeah, the whole
kind of thing.
The whole China debacle. I don't even really want to go back into that at this point.
No, not when they've got a new interesting fun PR mishap.
It's funny too, because like I remember thinking to myself that at a certain point I was ready to sort of be at peace with that whole fiasco. Like no, do I think Blizzard handled it the best way they possibly could? No. Do I think it was inappropriate of that person to bring up that topic at that particular juncture? No, I really don't think that was an appropriate time. I think Blizzard was in the right to, come down on that decision, but not in the way that they did, and I don't think they handled the fallout of it really well. At a certain point, I was ready to be like, okay, you know what? Both people have erred. We've all learned a lesson. Let's just move on and not do this again in the future.
Yeah.
And then, we get this. So basically, what's happened here is Warcraft 3 Reforged has come out. Sort of a remake of Warcraft 3 in the same vein as the StarCraft remastered thing that just came out a little while ago.
I actually got that. That means it's been unlocked again. Because I actually pre-ordered it last Christmas for my 29th. I ordered it for my 29th birthday. It's come out just after a month after my 30th.
Yeah. So it's, it came out. What was it? It was last week, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, it's hot off the presses, and so they're And so
What have they
what comes out as a result of this release is a news story from let's see who we got on the thing, PC Gamer, and I mean PC. We're referring to the PC Gamer article, but I'm sure lots of people have covered this by now.
Yeah.
So basically, when you install and sign on to Warcraft 3 Reforged, you have to sign a EULA and use their license agreement, which is pretty typical
T's and C's.
for gaming these days.
Which no one reads.
No one ever reads it except for the people who read this one, and thank God they did, because contained within this particular EULA is a clause which claims, and see if I can get an exact. I'll see if I can get an exact quote here. Okay, I got one from GameSpot.
Perfect.
Okay, so this one's okay. So we're moving from GameSpot. GameSpot covers the exact quote, which says that custom games are and shall remain the sole and exclusive property of Blizzard. Without limiting the foregoing, you hereby assign to Blizzard all of your rights, title, and interest in and to all custom games, including but not limited to any copyrights in the content of any custom games. If for any reason you are prevented or restricted from assigning any rights in the custom games to Blizzard, you grant to Blizzard an exclusive, perpetual, worldwide, unconditional, royalty-free, irrevocable license enabling Blizzard to fully exploit the custom games or any component thereof for any purpose and in any manner whatsoever.
In layman's terms, anything you make is Blizzard's.
Yes, absolutely anything made in a custom game by you using their tools within the custom game maker is wholly and entirely forever owned by Blizzard. Now, we should probably address that this is obviously a direct response to the wild, out-of-control success of the Defense of the Ancients mods, which would eventually become, the
MOBA scene, really.
The entire MOBA genre, with the creation of Dota 2, owned by Steam, one of the most financially successful games on the platform, League of Legends, the flagship product of Riot Games, which is now another billion-dollar player in the PC gaming scene, and the Smite game, which I don't know if that's still big or not, but I know that's definitely another one.
Like the big thing that brought back high-res studios after Tribes didn't really go very far.
So yeah, basically Defense of the Ancients, a game that was originally created in Warcraft 3 based on an earlier StarCraft 2 map, just sort of an advanced version of it.
Of minerals.
But yeah, the long story short is somebody somewhere or a collection of people helped to create these game types that were originally created using Blizzard properties, StarCraft and then later Warcraft 3 to a greater extent.
Yeah.
And the popularity of them was such that they became their own genre of video game.
Yeah.
And they created these massive players and created this massively competitive scene for these types of games. And now the most popular of these games are competing in international tournaments that for billion-dollar prize pools. There's brand sponsorships, there's corporate deals all over the place. It's a huge scene, and it all came out of Blizzard's back pocket, essentially.
Yeah.
But more specifically than that, this is a direct response to the fact that Blizzard and Steam went through a pretty lengthy legal dispute over the copyright of this genre, this idea, with the release of Dota 2 on the Steam platform. It was eventually settled that Dota 2 would be its own thing.
Yeah.
But it seems that Blizzard was pretty sour about that result. And so what they're doing with this clause, or attempting to do with this clause, is claim preemptively the rights of any similarly breakout blockbuster custom game types that might spawn their own, subgenre of games.
Yeah. Where would you feel on that? I mean, it's not to have been said that there haven't been games, with user-generated content, as they call them.
Well, so in short, you are not able to create. Well, you can still create any mods. You can create any mods and alteration to the game. However, bye and revenue for your hard work.
Yeah, well, it's like, okay, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
So, let's start with the basics. Blizzard owns Warcraft 3. They own the map maker therein. They own the tools and such that allow you to create these things. No one's disputing that. And I don't think that by extension it is too much of a stretch to say that so long as the game mods themselves remain within the sphere of Blizzard, that is to say, the game is created and developed using Blizzard's tools and property and is being serviced by Blizzard servers and, maintained by Blizzard personnel, I don't think that it is outside of, I don't think it is unreasonable for Blizzard to claim rights over that.
Indeed.
The problem I have with this isn't the idea of Blizzard trying to sort of, keep their custom game types to themselves. It's the idea that this seems to be attempting to place a blanket copyright claim on not just the games, but also any of the ideas proposed within this thing. Like the idea that they could, try and, put a tag on any game, any spin-offs, any genre spin-offs that might come out of these custom games as a result of their popularity. It's like, because here's the thing, they tried this before with Dota 2 and it didn't work. They tried to be like, hey, you're not allowed to do that. This is our shit, and then the argument was, well, I mean, you never said it wasn't. Also, you can't copyright an idea. So what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that earlier on in the podcast regarding Temtem and Pokemon, so...
Right, because you can copyright a specific instance of intellectual property. You can copyright things that are specific and definable. You can copyright a song, you can copyright a name, you can copyright, pronouns, you can copyright lists, you can copyright a lot of things, but you can't copyright, an idea. You could copyright StarCraft, but you can't copyright real-time strategy. You can copyright Call of Duty, but you can't copyright first-person shooters.
Yeah.
My big worry here, and I think that this has serious implications for a company that is primarily based in America, Blizzard is an American company. I don't know, is Activision American or are they from elsewhere?
No, they are American.
Okay,
Blizzard
so
Activision is American.
100% American
owned.
company
Mm-hmm.
with international outreach. The concern I have is that by placing this sort of stub in by slipping this here in the EULA and forcing people to agree to this in order to play their game, they're basically reserving the right to make a fuss at their convenience. And this is where it gets really kind of scary because, end user license agreements, they're a very controversial subject in and of themselves. A lot of people, especially in the gaming industry these days, have put clauses in EULAs that out and out, straight up, are not legally binding. Because the thing about EULAs is you can't actually enforce something that's written in a EULA if existing local legislation does not allow you to actually enforce that IRL.
Yeah.
If you put in the EULA, if you sign this agreement, we legally own your soul and have the rights to all of your personal property, and we can sell you at our convenience. That's unenforceable. Even if they sign it, you can't actually enforce that, no matter how much you try. And
Absolutely.
If you attempted to, your case would be kicked to the curb immediately. They wouldn't even
Mhm.
bother. Your lawyer probably wouldn't even charge you. It would be like an afternoon for them. So a EULA, no matter how binding or scary it is, unless there's very, very special circumstances, they cannot gain any additional rights that they would not already be given by existing legislation.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm concerned about is that by parking this little, I would say a little, it's a paragraph, this clause in their EULA saying that they own your copyright, they own your game, they own your genre, they own your whatever, that they might be reserving the right to essentially begin a lawsuit in the event that that you or someone who's a fan of your work that attempts to, make this custom game that they made, this non-existent custom game that exists somewhere in the future, and you try to turn it into its own genre, into its own entity in the same way that MOBAs turned into their own thing.
Yeah.
And by giving themselves the right to raise that complaint and start that lawsuit, they may give themselves just enough legal leeway and legal authority to put the pressure on someone who is seeking to, turn their custom game, their hard work, into something mainstream and legitimately profitable. Something that's not just donation based. Because they do actually say that you're allowed to keep, private donations that are given to you in exchange for your work, which I think is okay. That's something at least. But that's not going to be a viable income stream. If you really wanted to make this its own thing, even if you do it with your own tools, your own programs from the ground up, without any of Blizzard's help, with that little ticket sort of tagged on your game, on your custom game, they may just have just enough authority and just enough grounds for copyright infringement that even if they would not ultimately win an endurance match, so to speak, a legal endurance match in which both sides have infinite resources and whoever's legally right just wins, they may be able to stall it out just long enough that, a small team of, one or two
standard
or a dozen
person
people
will just drop it because of how much of time and stress is taking.
One person or a dozen people, a small team of people who just pull together all their resources, don't own a lot of property to begin with, and may have just taken out a huge loan to fund, programming their new game, and might be in a lot of debt and under a lot of pressure on a month-by-month basis to, meet their expenses and meet their demands, might just be willing to give up on a lawsuit and give it over to Blizzard, even if they know they're actually legally right, because, rent's got to be met, groceries got to be bought, programmers got to get paid at least as insofar as they're owed, and Blizzard's got much deeper pockets than anyone who would ever attempt to create, the next Dota or the next Auto Chess.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of creepy to me. That's what upsets me more about this than anything else, is the idea that, and here's the thing, this only works in America. I bring up the America thing because that really only works in America. In a lot of regions in the world, including here in Canada, and I'm sure many places in Europe, when you win a legal battle, you're allowed to, request that the losing party pay your legal fees. It doesn't always happen, but that is something that you can do, and you can reclaim your losses from that legal battle.
The lawsuit, yes.
So if you can just hold on, maybe let that rent check bounce once or twice, have some, eat some ramen noodles for a couple weeks, and just win the battle, you can, recoup your losses and then some. But in America, specifically America, they have what's called the American rule, where even if you win, you can't claim your legal fees as an expense as part of your compensation. So
that sort of makes me understand now why, stuff with like YouTube and of hearing big sort of lawsuit cases against YouTubers, why it's so sort of risky, because like you're saying, take into account the time and the lost expenditure. Sure, you've managed to, do this, hold out and beat this big organization, but at what cost?
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it's an American company, they have the opportunity to file a lawsuit within America. Even if you live outside America and you made a game outside of America, if they file a suit within, the United States, they can still apply that rule here, And so I think that is a major concern for me, because they don't actually have to be right. They don't actually have to abide by the law. Unless somebody were to preemptively sue them for attempting to take advantage of the law and take advantage of the end user license agreement, and win that battle and force them to change it, that could really be stifling, because it's like, I'm sure Blizzard feels real bad that they missed out on the billions and billions of dollars that have been made in the MOBA genre that spawned out of their womb. But at the same time, it's like, that's good for the industry. It might be bad for your company. You might feel a little like, ow, that stung for me. But like, it's generally good for the industry and for gaming in general that there is competition out there. There's more new things that are being made and improved upon all the time. It's like, like I say, Dota 2 and League of Legends are two of the most successful video games ever. League of Legends is going into its 11th year now, and they're as popular now as they have ever been.
Haven't they got the esports thing? No.
Well,
yeah, the esports is in its second week.
Yeah, esports has been around since sort of the original StarCraft. The concept of that has been there. Let's say the sort of the MOBA things sort of gave it a bit of a resurgence. Counter-Strike has been there for ages as well, but something about the MOBA sort of brought up esports in a way that people hadn't ever seen before.
Yeah, it's like esports were really big in Korea when StarCraft and StarCraft Brood War were at their peak.
Yeah.
But it was really like the MOBA genre that brought it to an international audience. There were people watching, League of Legends and pro Dota games in every continent because it just had such a broad appeal.
Yeah.
And I also, I don't want to be accused Blizzard of being petty, even though they are. But it's also like, you can't help but feel like maybe after having two major like billion dollar ideas escape from their clutches and go on to do their own thing, that maybe they're just a little bit bitter about the fact that their own Dota style MOBA game, being Heroes of the Storm, it just never quite caught on the way that the other ones did. Like, I don't even like, do they even still support that game? Like, is that even still a thing?
They do not.
Yeah,
no, support finished sort of early last year.
Like, I know they don't do esports for it anymore. That's long dead. But I don't even know.
They're still releasing the patches. They're still releasing new content. They're still like making it.
But it's like, who's ever heard of like? Are there any professional Heroes of the Storm streamers? Are there professional is there like a big Heroes of the Storm scene? Like,
I'd say there used to be, but that died along with the esports stopping.
They pull out the plug from the esports, so I don't think there is any more any big streamers doing this game.
Yeah.
So it's like, it bothers me, and it's like, and another thing that kind of drives me a little crazy is just like, you look at way back we made several jokes and references to how Dota 2 spun off of Heroes of the Storm, or not Heroes of the Storm, what's it called? Dota, Defense of the Ancients, the original, which spun off of Aeon of Strife. It's just like, and then from Dota 2 spawned, Dota 2 Auto Chess, which eventually became its own game. And then, the auto chess subgenre was sort of birthed. It didn't quite have the same effect as the MOBA genre. It's still reasonably popular. People still like it, but it didn't have quite that, it didn't make waves the way that the MOBA genre did.
Speaking of that, it was sort of Blizzard. The sort of the idea of the tower defense was that also through their custom games.
There was,
I would believe
like that,
it.
but...
It was certainly a big custom type. God, there must have been 100 or more different custom, turret defenses from StarCraft and Warcraft.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? But it's like, so you got that, right? And it's like, okay, so Dota 2 had a bit of a legal falling out with like the people who made the Dota Auto Chess game, because like it was like its own thing. Like, I don't think it wasn't made by the same people who made OG Auto Chess. So it's like, okay, there's like a legal thing going on there because they actually use like, the name, the Auto Chess name, and they use a lot of the characters and stuff from the original Auto Chess. So it's like, okay, there's like legal grounds here. That's a bit of copyright sketch. But it's like beyond that, it wasn't like they came after the genre as a whole and being like, you can't have our stuff. This is our game type. This is our game mode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is like beyond the obvious, actual, legit copyright problems and legal dispute. They were kind of just sort of chill about it. So it's like, you know, they're hanging. They're letting auto chess be its own thing. It's like, come on, man, Blizzard, get with it. Yeah, competition is good. It's healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Without the fans creating all sorts of this kind of mods, different game type, we would not have the LOL.
Yeah.
Because it started from a mod, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, League of Legends is part of the MOBA genre.
If companies will start doing this kind of sort of thing, like blocking a standard fans from creating an additional content to it, it will drive the business to bankruptcy, to the point where there will be no new ideas.
Yeah, and wasn't there also a wasn't there a thing between like Fortnite and Battlegrounds, something like that?
Yeah, there's sort of a lot of that. I think that actually came from I've forgotten who actually made PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Blue Point, I think it's something like that. Blue Point Gaming, something like that. They did have a lot of their issues with Epic and Fortnite. Now, granted, a lot of it, Epic did have a lot of inspirations added into Fortnite for lack of a better legal term. But yeah, I think they did go off at each other a little bit, but that means I don't think anything major came out of it. They just sort of let each other be.
Yeah, it's just like we need to.
Because you cannot. As we said before, you cannot put a brand on the idea itself. If you get me.
And that's not even like. Yeah, and that's
so
not even like.
As you said, Duncan, you cannot trademark first-person shooter because you cannot. It's just.
Yeah, and you can't. Yeah, just for the same reason you can't copyright Auto Brawler. You can't copyright MOBA, and you can't copyright.
Yeah, and same with Battle Royale style. You cannot trademark Battle Royale style because it's something what's existing before the games itself, the term. And anything using the same term, Battle Royale, so putting 100 people against each other or 1,000 people against each other, why not? It's fine. It should be fine. And companies...
It is fine. That's the problem, right? Like, this isn't just like...
And companies...
It's not just like a socialist, tree hugging, everyone owns everything... Let's all get together with community. It's not like that at all. It's like it's in the law. It's written in legislation. This is how this works, and people need to pay attention.
And big companies, they have to start paying attention to it. I'm not sure. Should start realizing that they cannot make money of every single bit of it. They should more focus on the content in the game, on the stability of the game, on bug fixing, instead of low battles.
Yeah, if you want
against stupid stuff.
If you want your particular iteration of the Battle Royale genre, or the auto chess genre, or the MOBA genre to be the most profitable and most successful, then make it the best version. Make it the best game. Update it, support it,
stopping the other from doing it.
Market
because
it.
This is what we need, what the industry need. We need similar ideas with different approaches to be able to choose the best games which we want to play.
Yeah,
that should be the main focus for the companies, not stupid small prints in the end user agreements where nobody reads it, and everyone is hoping if they're creating an additional content from that game, they're kind of hoping to at least be recognized, and if not, making some extra cash on the side. Because come on, you're putting hours and hours of your free time trying to create something. What's wrong with it to trying to sell that mode on the side for a few dollars? I'm happy.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's the MOBA genre is not a few dollars. It is a $1 billion industry, but
Yeah, well,
The point-
what
the
I mean
point
is,
is-
if we would create an extra mode, we will not be maybe we would charge for like, okay, if you want to play this kind of version of the game, yeah, pay us a $5 and there you go.
Yeah, it's like
That's
like,
what that's what
the-
I'm trying to say. If
the point
we would
is
like,
the point is you don't own ideas. You can't.
Exactly.
You never will. The law's never going to change to allow you to do that. You may, if you can give your idea a name and write its details out on a piece of paper and submit it to the patent office, you can own that version of that idea, but you can't own the nebulous idea itself. You can't just cast a net and say all these fish are mine, and it's just like other fishermen gotta eat too.
But you will never be a fisherman.
So yeah, there you go. That's the big scary Blizzard news, and I honestly think the whole the fucking Hong Kong China shit was like it was a whole thing. It was a very widely publicized, perhaps even over publicized issue, and I'm still to this day not even 100% sure which side of the argument I fall on. I think I'm falling pretty much right down the middle. Anyway, this I think really has the potential to be like this is a serious problem for Blizzard. I can't abide by this. There's no me. I'm not gonna lose sleep thinking about whether or not I agree or disagree with this. I may lose sleep thinking about how many developers are, gonna lose the will to program and make games because they're afraid that Blizzard might sue them out of house and home. But I'm not. I'm not on Blizzard's side. I'm sorry.
Definitely not.
That's not okay.
No, understandable. So before we wrap this up, then I just wanted to give you a quick one. It's a very, very quick game of Ryan's trivia. Did you know that EA had a MOBA?
EA had a MOBA? Who?
Yeah.
What
Do you
MOBA?
remember the name of it?
Nope.
Give it to me.
It was called Dawngate.
Dawngate. That sounds like vaguely familiar, but I don't know anything about it.
Well, I believe it was. Hold on, let me just... Yes, Dawngate. It was a proposed multiplayer online battle arena. This was the MOBA that EA decided was not going to work, that they had a massive open beta for it and cancelled it within 6 months.
Wow.
And when was it?
This was 2014.
Okay.
So it was tested on May 24th, 2013. There was a beta in April 2014. Open beta went in May 2014, and by November that year, it was closed. The idea that they were gonna sort of have like where they wanted to just add a bit of sort of persistent character creation to it, as well as just account leveling like all the other MOBAs. And it was also one that we were going to try and put a PvP spin onto as well, a PvE spin onto as well. But yeah, didn't work. But that's a little bit of history for you. Long lost EA games that didn't even bother coming out properly.
Maybe that's for the better.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, we'll leave you with that trivia, and
Hello.
we'll wrap this up. So if you liked what you heard, and there was a lot of it to hear. I
said maybe that's for the better for EA, because they might deliver another broken, unplayable game.
My throat hurts too much to talk about EA, but suffice to say, if there's one company that I'm glad didn't make it in the genre copy-paste wars, I'm glad it was EA.
So yeah, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. You can copy-paste that everywhere you want. We'd be happy with it. And yeah, thank you, Dariusz, Duncan, and Dee.
Always a pleasure to be here, except when it isn't.
Yeah. But it's that one was a nice little talk, So
yeah.
it was all good.
So
And,
probably see you next week, guys.
Yeah. So until then, please, for God's sake, find Stefan. He's missing. Where did he go?
Steph!
We'll see you next time.
Wait, we didn't tell anyone to not kill themselves.
Oh, don't kill each other.
Don't kill each other, and don't copyright. don't try to copyright claim ideas because it won't work.